Go Pizza presents SCP. The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde.
How have you been since the last show? I need to know.
Well, it's only been 48 hours, so not bad.
Hasn't been very long, yeah?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You do anything? You read much?
Reading a book on the Norman conquest of England right now.
Are you seriously?
It's an audiobook, so I guess I'm not reading it, I'm listening to it.
Oh my god. Jesse, are you doing anything fun? Reading anything actually fun?
Reading anything fun? No, not right now.
Other than Steve Dangle's tweets.
Yeah.
Yeah, the man who's back on Twitter.
Well, I'm so glad you brought up. What was that website again?
Twitter.com.
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 Because I read something on Twitter.com. Would you like me to read it?
I would like you to read what you read on Twitter.com. Although I'm a little concerned.
Hi, Steve. My name is David Herman. I'm the 20-year-old college student behind the Jersey Finder on Twitter. I listened to the May 20th podcast when I let you know that something was coming your way. I'm so sorry that I caught you off guard with my post. No, you didn't win a contest. No, you didn't unknowingly buy a jersey. After listening to the entirety of your audiobook on my move from Ohio to Texas with my mother, I wanted to buy you a gift. Amongst the hilarity and entertaining storytelling that I listened to along dark stretches of highway, I was enthralled listening to your stories about Felix Potvin and how he was your favorite player growing up. From what I've seen in your videos, that jersey isn't in your collection. If there's one thing I do well, it's find crazy deals on jerseys. So when I stumbled on a cheap and authentic Felix Potvin jersey in your size, I went out of my way to make sure I won and pay out of my pocket. As someone who didn't play hockey as a kid, but as a college student currently pursuing a career in sports focused on hockey, I look to you as an idol. Even as a diehard Ranger fan, I still find myself captivated by the passion that you display in your LFR videos and tune into almost every video. Your never quit attitude in the face of adversity is something that constantly amazes me. Like you said on the podcast, I've tweeted at you a few times. One of those times was highlighting you as someone who I truly value on #HockeyTwitter. Another was giving away a copy of your book so that someone else could have the opportunity to enjoy your work. You give me hope that I can make it, Steve. Your journey across the sports media landscape was an incredibly inspiring and uplifting one to listen to. The Jersey Finder is a real account run by one person. It has a meager following compared to your numbers, but I'm very proud of what we've been able to accomplish in the past 4.5 months. I devote my days to helping fans like myself overcome the price barrier of retail jerseys by finding great deals on eBay for them to purchase. I strive to bring joy to people with a great deal, just like you bring joy to people with your videos. Wanted to keep the jersey as a surprise, but since you're reading this letter, I guess you could say the cat is out of the bag. All the best, David Herman.
Wow.
So Steve got more free shit. Woo!
I mean, I think that is the takeaway here.
You were so mean to him. No, the takeaway is you guys are bullies. You guys are mean bullies.
No.
We're not
mean bully
bullies.
people.
I'm so happy you got more free stuff.
No, it was the
You
takeaway.
are.
The
Yes,
takeaway.
you are.
The takeaway was, "Hey, Steve, you have something coming your way." Is definitely a bomb threat in most cases.
No,
So-
it's not even that.
Wow.
It's congratulations.
Yeah. Come on.
What did you want us to take away from it, huh?
Yeah. Who heard that and was like, "That's a normal thing to say"?
Right?
What? You get again mean bullies.
We're not mean bullies. It's just the way it comes across, man.
And I DM'd with the Jersey Finder, and we're friends now, and which is good because I have 2 fewer.
That's all it takes?
That's all it takes.
Boy.
Just say,
After
hey,
years and all sorts of history, we're done.
yeah, you need someone to send you free stuff and your friends all of a sudden.
No, I'm
Weird how
joining.
that works, eh,
I'm
Jess?
joining Spitting Chicklets, and we'll figure it out.
Did they invite you or?
No,
gonna
it's
do
gonna
that?
be tough. Listen, I didn't say it'd be easy.
And I thought you had to be a former NHLer to be on that show.
Yeah,
Why did
I
you...
gotta put on a mustache.
So you go with Spitting Chicklets instead of the podcast that taught you what malware is. 31 Thoughts.
31 thoughts.
Actually, that was a podcast in the back of a seat trunk thing, whatever you were sitting in. You were not. That was not during the show.
Oh,
was
yeah,
it?
it wasn't
No.
just, but the man
No,
on the
the man on the
podcast
po-
taught
that's
you
true.
what.
No, Jeff already knows who I am, though.
You'd have a better
So-
shot at joining them than Chicklets, I think.
No, because Jeff already knows who I am. So like it'd blow my cover. Elliot doesn't know who I am.
Oh, you mean you want to sneak on?
I want to sneak on. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I'll be a former pro with a mustache, and glasses. It'll be great. Anyway, shout out Jersey Finder. You guys are mean.
Congratulations to the Blues and their fans for making the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time since 1970.
That's cool.
The Blues have been to 3 more Stanley Cup Finals than the Leafs in that period.
That's true, and they have won as many as well.
Yes, that's true. That is true. Now, going into this series, you got to think, first off, the fact that it starts next Monday is just a big bowl of crap.
Stupidest, the dumbest thing. It's going to be a team with 11 days rest taking on a team with 5 days rest. They're both going to be perfectly well rested, and there's going to be, if this goes 7 games, there's going to be 3 3-day gaps.
Why do they do this?
That's long enough of a question.
Sure.
Why?
Why do they do this?
I don't know. Because this league stinks. Like, if the Boston Celtics were still in it, I would understand.
Yeah, if you're trying to get out of the way of the NBA, which the NHL has to do.
They want to make sure they're well rested. What? They're heading into the series well rested. What are you talking about? You manufactured it that way. So what's the deal? What's the deal? I don't understand. I don't understand at all. I know we're celebrating, but let's find a way to complain.
Well, I'm happy for them.
Are you?
Now,
Can I just also say I'm happy for St. Louis Blue alumni Martin Brodeur on his team going to the Stanley Cup Final. I just feel real great that his team got there.
what happens first? They win the cup or they retire his jersey?
Ooh.
They win the cup.
They win the cup?
Yeah, because it's happening in a
well,
couple
they could
days.
retire his jersey before game 1. Was he not an assistant general manager there? He's not there anymore, right?
Yeah, because that's why they gave him they signed him. So they give him a job when he's done. Then 10 games into his season, he was like, all right, I'll take that job now.
I don't think
he's there anymore.
Terrible.
I'm not sure if it was really weird. It was a weird time. He was one of the goalies. I was at a Canada Post event at the Hockey Hall of Fame. He was one of the goalies who was supposed to get a stamp. And I think he was the only guy not there, but he sent in a video message, and it was like, hey, sorry I couldn't attend. I'm here working with the St. Louis Blues. And I was like, ugh. What? No, Martin Brodeur, we should, as a community, everyone in hockey, just ignore that ever happened. Martin Brodeur was never a member of the St. Louis Blues. He was never a member of the St. Louis Blues staff. Give him a ring if you want. Don't put his name on it because it's proof. Freaking weird. Ugh. I don't like it. Also, Tyler Bozak.
Well,
let's not acknowledge it when he wins.
I'm happy for him. Listen, every team is full of players from other teams that were previously on other teams. We need to stop doing this with the Leafs.
Really showed them.
We really need to stop. Like, this is dumb. Like, I mean, Alex Steen left, 10, 15 years ago?
Oh my God, it was forever ago.
He's a St. Louis Blue. He was not a Leaf. Like, just put it that way. And so let that go.
His hockey DB page, it says he was a Leaf for 4 seasons. I'm surprised it was even that long.
I can't even believe it was that long. That's crazy.
I thought it was a lot less than that.
It's a shame that they traded him when they did, but because they sure missed the boat on a pretty good hockey player. But I think we got to just be happy for Tyler Bozak, who, signed the right deal with the right team, and it looked like a disaster. They got Ryan O'Reilly and Tyler Bozak, and they got rid of some of the Berglund and Sabatka contracts, and got rid of Tage Thompson, who apparently was just not a player that was going to crack the lineup for them.
No.
And managed to get Ryan O'Reilly, which was great. I don't know how it could have gone worse for the Blues, and then how it could have gone better. Like, they've seen both extremes. Good for them. Good for them.
Good for them.
Good for Jordan Binnington,
who refused assignment to the ECHL last year, and as a result, the Blues sent him to Providence to play with the Bruins AHL team.
Wow.
And now here he is.
You can refuse assignment?
Oh, yeah. I think under certain contractual whatevers.
Well, you can choose to not do anything, right?
Yeah, you can choose to not go, I guess.
Yeah, you can say, listen, I'm not going.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's cool. Nope.
Alexander Steen, by the way, last played for the Leafs when he was 24. Do you know his current age?
It's got to be 34.
I think he's older than us. 32?
He's 35.
Wow.
He's 35?
Yeah.
Dude.
When was he drafted? Holy smokes.
Drafted to do 02.
Wow.
Yeah. He's not a Leaf.
No. Never was.
No. I think I am very over that.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more sour about the Rask thing. I know that was also old. It's a little bit different.
It is a little different.
It's a little bit
A
different.
little different.
Was Lee Stempniak a better Leaf than Andrew Raycroft? Let's talk.
What do you think happens in the Blues-Bruins series? They're both going to come in well rested. Probably a little rusty in the first period. But, am I wrong in thinking, and with no offense to St. Louis here, am I wrong in thinking the Boston Bruins have the we've been here before thing going on? And they've been here before, and I think they're going to win this series pretty handily?
Well, I don't know about handily, but so we just shot the hat picks video at Sportsnet, and I built in a Stanley Cup Final prediction to that. So I don't think there's a ton between them on offense. I don't think there's a ton between them on defense. Goaltending's interesting. It's a bit of a wild card, but I mean, they're two very good goalies. I think they're both physical teams, decent coaches, decent special teams. I think it's going to come down to experience, though. I think you nailed it. So that's why I think the winners of the Stanley Cup in 2019 will be the Boston Bruins.
How many games do you guys give the series?
I think it could go the full 7.
Really?
I really do. Which is going to
Interesting.
be torture because of all the gaps.
Which means it'll end at, the 12th of June?
We're going to forget the Stanley Cup Final is happening at least 3 times throughout this series.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they have
Including
2 and 3
before it
games.
starts.
Why do they do this? I still don't is there a reason for this?
No, the Stanley Cup Final could end as far from now as 3 weeks to the day.
Ooh. That's just rough. Come on.
Both teams are ready. They're ready. I don't understand. I don't understand why there's the built-in rest mid-series and before it. But I think you touched on something there. I think you say rusty. I say sloppy.
Okay.
Sloppy is fun. So I think you're going to have well-rested teams, so they're going to be high energy and just rearing to go, but they're going to be so rusty and out of practice that it's going to make for sloppy hockey, which is fun hockey. And it's the sort of hockey that sort of goes away in the final 2 rounds. It's they're fine-tuned, amazing machines playing disciplined and come on, boys, we're so close. No mistakes. They're not going to be able to help themselves. They're going to be screwing up left, right, and center in the first 2 games, and it's going to be great.
Yep.
They'll probably pull it together, but the first game for sure, I would say 2 games are going to be nice and sloppy. Maybe even high scoring.
Wow. All right. Steve Dangle, everyone.
Yeah.
Jesse, what do you think?
I have St. Louis in 6.
Whoa.
Wow.
All right.
Okay.
One, I'm never going to choose Boston over anything at this point. Just for now.
Hey there, diaper boy. Hey there, full diaper.
Hey, diaper tape.
Write a blog about that.
One thing I did read on Twitter.com that enraged me even more to never cheer for Boston was what Peter DeBoer said. He said,
From the Sharks?
yes,
What?
the 2 hardest, heaviest teams are in the finals. Everybody talks about skill and speed. There's room for all these smart players. There's room for that. But I don't think it's an accident. There was no space. They're heavy, hard, and organized. There wasn't any room. And I just think that mentality, it fits so well with Boston. I think St. Louis doesn't fall under that category. I don't know where Peter DeBoer is getting at with that.
I don't get
but
that either.
I feel like that's such a Boston mentality. I don't know why I'm associating that with them, but I feel like that's what they've created by getting the finals this way.
I can't wait for everybody to throw their perfectly good franchises away to copy this year's Bruins.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to happen again.
And then you have it. It's
Who doesn't love
starting.
sequels?
It's starting, and it's nonsense.
It's happening. Well,
and so I'm not going to sit here and root for a team that's making a head coach of probably the most skilled team outside of Tampa Bay in the entire National League say that the heaviest team wins in the playoffs.
Patrick Maroon is
2
gonna
heaviest teams are in the Stanley Cup. Screw you.
Maroon is going to get $7 million.
Yes, he is. Yes,
gonna
he. You
get
know what?
$7 million.
And good for him, because that's a guy that actually deserved a contract. Like the contract Matt Bolesky got 3 years ago is the one that Pat Maroon deserved last summer.
And the one that everyone is going to forget immediately.
Yeah.
We was signed with the Bruins. Where's he?
Yeah.
Is he in this cup final?
Nope. I don't
Where did
think
he
he's
go?
played this year.
Come on. It's heavy hard. That's what this cup final's about.
However, there is a good point to be made is that a guy like him, guy like Ferland, you talked about it last podcast. The fact is that the skills that those guys have being quote unquote heavy, big, in your face, sort of a rare commodity in the NHL.
Man, what is Okay,
It's only taken one season really to really turn that corner. Because about 3 years ago, people were like, "Well, we need more skill," and now it's all
Remember
of a
when
sudden,
New Jersey snuck into the playoffs? Everyone was like, they did it by being small and fast.
sneaky and skilly.
Yeah. And
But-
then all of a sudden, it was out the window.
They
and
did it by
and the
goaltending.
Pittsburgh Penguins intentionally won back-to-back cups and went, you know what, though? We didn't win them well enough. And we needed to
Let's
get
find some
toughness
bad
and
deals.
just yard sailed their dynasty.
They got the worst. They probably have the worst pairing in the NHL in Johnson and Gabranson.
They might
Oh,
not
yeah.
get it back.
Oh, I don't think they will. So I'm looking at Luke Fox put together for Sportsnet a teams in cap hell. And if you're in cap hell, you want to be a good team, right? You want to be a fantastic hockey team. The Vegas Golden Knights have zero projected dollars right now. You got to think Colin Miller's going to be traded because they don't.
That's also such bad asset management by
yeah.
the McPhee, is
Vegas?
it? Yeah.
George
He's done a good job, but also there've been some times
But
where you're like,
you come in at zero.
Yeah.
And in 2 years, you screw that up and hit the limit. That makes no sense to me.
Yep.
They also have a ton of picks still, like a ridiculous amount. They have ways of getting out of this.
Well,
but you're right. They are sort of spending like drunken sailors.
I got
What the
something. I
hell?
got something for you. So here's the thing. And quickly looking at Vegas, and we'll get to the other teams on this in a second. They have right shot defender Colin Miller, who barely played this year, who was quite effective for them last year.
Yep.
And apparently that's a guy the Leafs are kind of sniffing around about.
Former Sault Ste. Marie guy, right-handed shot.
As they should. He's a 26-year-old who makes $3.85 million for the next 2 years. I would go after that as well.
It's a nice deal.
Now, there's also massive relief in one particular contract that has one more year on the Vegas Golden Knights. Can anybody tell me who's making a lot of money for the Vegas Golden Knights that they could move this year?
Not William Karlsson. No,
he's an RFA.
Yeah.
He's making a lot of money for the Vegas Golden Knights.
Along with Gusev, Nosek, Brandon Peary. There's a lot of RFAs. A lot of RFAs for them. Who's making big money?
Like more than they probably should, based on their
Who's
production.
making big money for Vegas?
Are you about to say Ryan Reeves?
I'm not saying Ryan Reeves. Actually, he's not even. Yeah, I mean, you could. You
He's
could
not
say
making
Ryan Reeves.
much.
But Ryan Reeves seems like a guy they need to keep. He's a dressing room guy.
Yeah.
Keeps them
that
happy.
seems like,
Keeps them in a happy
he's
place.
a Vegas boy,
Yeah.
He's one of ours.
He's actually, you know what? It's weird. I wouldn't want to pay him what they're paying him, but Ryan Reeves seems like the kind of guy who could get the Leafs through their grumpy slumps. Like they don't seem to have that guy that, like Matt Martin was supposed to be that guy.
I was about to say
and then
that.
there were some rumors about that he turned out not to be as advertised.
Well, Komarov, I think, was that guy.
Yeah,
Komarov
yeah.
was
Uncle Leo.
thoroughly that guy.
Just constantly
Yeah.
happy, but too much money for that.
Yeah.
Jesse, any guesses?
No, I'm just curious who it is.
If Vegas can move David Clarkson,
I did see that. Elliot was talking about that.
$5.25 million. Now, they could put him on LTIR. I don't see why they wouldn't do that. But $5.25 million for one more season.
Get him back.
Vegas.
Get him
David
back.
Clarkson has signed one more year. Good for him. Good for him.
That is...
His
Man.
agent deserves a freaking... I don't know what kind of award you give his agent because that's a buyout-proof deal. That's amazing.
Vegas has so many ghosts, man. Jeff Merrick, he did a video where he was playing just backyard rink hockey with Mikhail Grabowski. And Grabowski... Yeah, I know. Because Grabowski lives in Stouffville.
And Grabowski
randomly.
challenged him or something to something.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
And Grabowski was wearing white and gold gloves. And I'm like, what? Oh, right. He's a Vegas Golden Knight.
Right.
Right now.
Right now.
But he's on
Mikhail Grabowski's a
LTIR.
Vegas Golden Knight. Yeah.
That's cool.
I completely forgot about it.
That's crazy.
I just completely
did he
forgot.
never played for them, though, did he?
No, I think he's probably
I
done.
wonder if oh God, what is his name? Why am I not remember? Horton.
Nathan Horton.
Nathan.
I wonder if he's got Leafs gear.
I think so.
I mean, why would they give it to him unless he asked for it, right? I'm sure Grabowski was like, "Yo, give me some gloves. Can I? Those gloves are sweet."
I want the gloves.
Yeah, I don't blame him. Like those
Probably.
gloves are pretty sweet. So
I mean, he's an eccentric guy. I saw him score a goal with his head.
yeah,
Maybe he wanted the gloves. He thought they were pretty.
he seems like a guy we have to reach out to get on the show.
We could get him on the show, yeah.
Can we get him on the show?
Probably.
I want to ask him all about the Randy Carlyle era.
Oh, I'm
We're
sure
going deep.
Spill all the beans.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Okay, back to the Cup final though.
No, I like the Leafs angle.
With the way it's going to go, there are teams that are going to do what happened in 2011. It happened to Vancouver. It happened to Toronto. It happened to Toronto later, actually. it happened in Toronto in 2013. But Vancouver tried to become Boston to win the Cup the next year, and I think they were out in the first round.
Everyone did.
Everyone tried to be Boston except for two teams. Who were the two teams who just became what they were?
Chicago.
Yep.
Are you going to say L.A.?
Yeah.
See, the interesting thing about L.A. is they were that heavy-ass team, but what brought them from 11th in the West to the playoffs? Jeff Carter.
Well, and Jonathan Quick, maybe.
Well, and also bananas goaltending. But people forget, before the Jeff Carter trade, the Kings weren't even in the playoffs.
Couldn't score.
And then they were like the second best team in the league after that trade. Beat the Canucks in like 5.
Yeah.
They had one of the I want to say they lost 3 games en route to the Stanley Cup that year.
I remember watching that run and thinking, God, Columbus can't get a break. Like, Jeff Carter underperforms there for half a season, and then
that was brutal.
But that was the start of Columbus's rise, so good for them.
And I want to say they gave up Jakub Voracek in that deal. Like, it was.
Oh yeah. Oh,
it was bad, man.
That's a. You know what? That is a trade that if you were still doing trade trees, and I think you still should, like videos.
I should.
I want trades, horrible trades people forgot about in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I gotta look back. Columbus had some doozies,
and somehow they still came out okay.
Scott Housen was fired, and who would ever bring him back?
The Edmonton Oilers.
The Edmonton Oilers. You're
right.
Correct.
And apparently they're keeping him too. We'll get to that in a second.
Amazing. You know who they should keep is Keith Gritz. Sorry.
Yo, you better be looking up some Matty tweets there, Jesse, because now
should we do NHL by Matty?
He's become a state. Well, in just a second. Just a second.
I have some.
By the way, I'm saying Boston in 5.
Wow.
I think Tuukka Rask has been that good.
Oh, he's definitely been that good. So is Jordan Binnington.
I don't want to take anything away from Jordan Binnington. Yeah. I think the better conference is the East. And I think that the Boston Bruins they've got the I've been there before attitude.
They've definitely got that attitude. It's funny. So what was the big thing about Tampa? They're the only team who doesn't have a player who's won a Stanley Cup. So I went through the St. Louis Blues roster.
Yeah.
Actually, Jesse, can you pull up just the St. Louis Blues hockey DB?
I have it.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to play a fun game. Let's go through all the names.
Just the guys on the team?
Yep.
We'll start with the forwards.
Yep.
Jaden Swartz.
He hasn't won one.
Braden Shen.
Nope.
Tarasenko.
Nope.
Ryan O'Reilly.
Nope.
David Perron. Patrick Maroon.
Although he was in the Stanley Cup Final last year. Patrick Maroon. Nope.
Bozak.
Nope.
Robert Thomas.
Nope.
Barbashev.
Nope.
Sundqvist.
Yes!
He won a cup?
Stanley Cup champion Oscar Sundqvist. He was with the Penguins when they won back-to-back cups. He was with both teams, and he played a grand total of 2 playoff games.
Wow.
All right.
Alexander Steen.
No.
Those are the forwards.
Yes.
Pietrangelo.
Nope.
Bouwmeester. Jay
Nope.
Bouwmeester. No. Colton Parayko.
Nope.
Carl Gunnarsson.
Nope.
Vince Dunn.
Nope.
Vince
Joel
Dunn,
Edmondson.
by the way, country artist
No.
Vince Dunn.
Also, defenseman on the St. Louis Blues.
Yes, well, he does both.
Yeah, day job, night job.
His brother Chet is going to get drafted this year. Chet Dunn.
So those are all the defense pairings.
Yeah.
And then Jordan Binnington.
No.
Just no. And Jake Allen.
No. So that whole thing about Tampa, you got to get a guy who's been there before.
Oscar Sundqvist is their guy. Good.
The Blues guy is Oscar Sundqvist.
Rally around him.
It was a rubbish headline. It was a rubbish storyline. And I didn't realize just how rubbish it was until I saw that. Oscar Sundqvist is there. You know what? Forget Ryan O'Reilly. Forget Jordan Binnington and that amazing story.
Forget all the goal scorers and the guys, that are huge members of the
Forget
team.
Jaden Schwartz.
Yeah.
Forget them all. You know who we need?
Oscar
Sundqvist. Thank goodness they have him in the dressing room. If they get down in the series, Oscar Sundqvist will be the one who pulls him out of it.
It's Oscar Sundqvist, noted survivor of Tom Wilson.
Yes.
But question for Steve Dangle.
Yes.
If the Blues have any shot in this series, and they absolutely do, I think the games are going to be close. I do think Boston's going to win.
Okay.
And I do think they're going to win in 5, but I think the games are going to be close. I don't think these are going to be blowouts.
They'll be tight games.
if they do have a real shot, and if they do win, and at the end of this, on June the 12th, when we're talking about it, or June the 13th,
just whoever wins, just do it in a sweep, please.
when we say the Blues have won, why will we say they did?
Jaden Schwartz could potentially win the Conn Smythe.
Man.
He's been that good. He's their Logan Couture. Now that Couture is out, I need someone new to fawn over, and it's Jaden Schwartz.
Is that who you give the crown to? By the way, if you're talking about, let's talk about the last two series, because we've partnered with Crown Royal. You know that. Mm-hmm. If you're going to give a crown to each team that made it to the finals, one player on each team that made it to the finals, who do you give them to?
For the Boston Bruins, I give it to Patrice Bergeron because he's perfect in every way.
Mm-hmm. Except for that haircut, a little aggressive.
It's a little bit Peaky Blinders,
yeah,
but it's very Boston.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, all right.
You could give it to Zdeno Chara, who had that viral clip recently about I don't say rookie, I say first-year player because he's such a gosh darn good leader. That's what I say to that Zdeno Chara. There was a great tweet I saw that Zdeno Chara is Chris Pronger with better PR. And I think anyone who's ever watched him play hockey knows that's 100% true.
Very true.
So I give that.
By the way, Chris Pronger didn't get bad PR until he retired.
That's true. He was just a tough-nosed player.
He was a god until he retired, and then all the players came out and were like, yeah, by the way, we freaking hate that guy.
Yeah.
And one guy was like, I'm glad he's injured. Like, after the finals once, wasn't that?
There was Adam Burish said, he's like, I hate that guy. I'd love to punch him in the face or something like that. And Chris Pronger, this is right after losing the Stanley Cup, by the way. Someone tells him about that quote. And he goes, where's he going to do that from? The minors? And sure enough, Burish got sent down. This is a pretty good one.
That's good.
But no, I don't think anyone had a problem with Chris Pronger too badly until he was named. Wasn't he like in player safety?
Yeah, he was.
Went, whoa.
Didn't he have Shanny's old role?
I think he might have.
Where you hand down the suspensions? Yeah.
Oh,
and it's like, yeah.
But it was another guy like, I can't take the criticism of handing out suspensions.
Yeah.
People don't like me.
Well, he doesn't need it. And now he's, you know what, Adam? He's a pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of guy because now he plays for the Coyotes.
That's true. That's true. He was able to work for NHL head office and play for the Coyotes, as if this isn't farcical.
Amazing.
And people get mad about Stefan Robida not playing, for God's sakes. What a joke.
There's a few shenaniganery contracts. So Bergeron for the Bruins. For the Blues?
Can I give mine to Rask?
Sure.
Oh, right. Yeah, sorry. Of course. He's going to win the Conn Smythe.
That's the end of it.
You don't have to apologize for it. It's just Jesse's just jumping in and say he's giving it to Rask.
So who do you give it to?
I would also give it to Rask. Yeah. And I also think I think Pete Blackburn has just been surfing on the tears of Boston Bruins people who hate Tuukka Rask.
Yeah.
He is just camped out on the peak of Mount I'm Right.
It's true. It's true.
He's having a great time.
Tuukka Rask has been phenomenal. Been absolutely phenomenal. And like as we said last year when we went to Boston to watch the Leafs get blown out, I was shocked at how little people liked Tuukka Rask.
We talked to a bunch of Bruins fans at a Red Sox game.
Yeah, and they were not Tuukka fans.
And all they could tell us was how much they don't like Tuukka.
Stupid. Well, now they like him. I have to think they like him.
They like him.
So crown from St. Louis, guys.
I give it to not a player, Craig Berube.
Oh, the coach.
I give it to Craig Berube, the coach. There's the saying, you show me a good coach, I'll show you a good goalie. So you could say Jordan Bennington salvaged his whole season. But there was something rotten, genuinely rotten with that Blues team.
Was it during Game 6 of the actual regular season when Mike Yeo said, I should probably be fired? Could it have been then?
Could it have been then?
Because that was this season.
When Robert Bertuzzo beat up his own teammate? In, who was that he beat up?
I don't remember.
Sanford. One of the Sanfords. I know I always get it wrong. Zach Sanford, not Curtis, the former goalie. Could it have been when they were in last place in January? All I know is there was something rotten, wholly rotten with the St. Louis Blues. Yes, he got himself a goalie, but I think it takes a little bit more than a goalie on a heater to pull the Blues out of what the Blues were in. So I give it to Craig Berube.
Can I also give it to the former Toronto Maple Leaf?
Craig Berube?
Craig Berube.
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
he was traded in the Grant Fuhr trade, I think.
Was that it?
Yeah, I think he was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think he was.
St. Louis?
Grant. It was like Grant Fuhrer for Vinny Danfus and Craig Berube or something else. Like it was, yeah. Anyway, sorry, Jesse.
One thing I really like about St. Louis is how they're opposite Boston in that they run 4 lines and that they have a player who's a killer on each line. Like up front, you have Tarasenko, then line 2's Ryan O'Reilly and David Perron, who's been all right. And then the third line, Maroon, Bozak, Thomas, which has been incredible all playoffs. And your fourth line is with Steen and Sundqvist and Beribashev.
And you haven't even mentioned Schwartz.
No. Who's just sitting up top with
got 12 goals.
Yeah, with Shannon Tarasenko.
Yeah.
You know, and I love how they have that entire balance because every time they're rolling somebody on the ice, there's somebody there. And I feel like that's a way they can combat Boston, who's just kind of heavy up front, up top, I should say.
Yeah.
Even though they're not as good on the back end, they can still combat them with 4 lines all the time.
Yeah, and people
So credit
still
to him
sleep
for
on
doing that.
People still sleep on David Krejci though.
It's true.
Like everyone's, he's whatever.
He's not done.
Yeah, but a February healthy scratch, David Krejci.
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. He's been unbelievable these playoffs. Every playoff before that, he just gets it done. He finds a way to get it done. I think the Blues are actually the more physical team. And I think it's hilarious that people refer to Boston as... I mean, they play physically, for sure. They're a pesky, aggressive team. But look at who makes them special. Marchand. Aggressive, yes. Big, no. Bergeron. Tenacious, yes. Big, no. Pasternak. I don't even know if I'd call him particularly tenacious. He's just a good hockey player.
Yeah.
Charlie McAvoy, we talk about as sneaky dirty, but he's not big. Torrey Krug is a garden gnome. And that guy runs their power play, which is why they're here. It's why they're here. It's
Telling you, Torrey Krug.
so good.
Torrey Krug, who will be a free agent at the end of this next season. Not this season, but next season.
That'll be fun.
That'll be an expensive contract.
So I just talked about, like, arguably their 5 best players, probably their 2 best defensemen. You can't put Chara in there. He's not anymore. And their top line, plus their goalie. It's not a big, heavy, scary team. They're better at hockey than you.
Yeah.
They're just really good.
Yeah.
So I think the Blues might be the more physical team in the series.
We could be eating our words about, like, you and I could be eating our words. Jesse would be, like, dancing. But
They're better at hockey, but they also showed up when it mattered. Like, you can go down the lineup of Tampa. We'll just keep going back to Tampa, but you go down their lineup, and they're just as good as Boston, but they didn't show up.
Better.
Oh,
they're better.
They're better,
But those guys didn't show up in the playoffs, and the Boston, just every year, they seem to know what it takes to get to deep in the playoffs, and they did it again.
And they find a way to avoid the redonkulous injury.
Yeah,
Like
somehow.
the Sharks ran out. They just ran out. I'd still argue that on paper, they're out of all the teams in the Final Four, I'd say they're the best team in the league.
once
The
you saw,
Sharks?
once you saw who was injured, though, no Hurdle, no Carlson, no
No
Pavelski,
Pavelski.
like, you're toast.
And then Evander Kane gets a misconduct in the last game, and
Martin Jones turns back into a pumpkin.
Yeah,
And dude, he was the worst goalie in the playoffs, and they still almost made the Stanley Cup Final with him. That's a good team, but the reason I brought that up was I think Tampa could have done fine. Certainly could have avoided the sweep. Maybe even won the series against Columbus. Hedman.
Yeah,
That's true.
You can overcome
Yeah.
much. Boy, that's a big one.
Yeah.
That is a big one. And Chara missed a game. He hasn't been as important to the Bruins this year. He hasn't. But they
Because
also missed McAvoy for a game.
they have other guys.
yeah, they're
that are
important
more
guys
important.
are there.
Yeah, Krug and McAvoy, man.
Yeah. Krug goes down or he suffers something debilitating like Carlson, who's playing as the ghost of himself. Like, I don't know. But they find a way.
Yeah.
They find a way, or play through a punctured lung like friggin' Patrice Bergeron.
Let's go through the teams other than Vegas who are going into cap hell.
Going into cap
Now,
hell.
you tell me if. Here's the thing, and my philosophy on cap hell is this: it's a little less hellish if you're a good team. When Chicago was good and they were trading your Christopher Steegs to the Leafs, and who was the other guy?
Dustin Byfuglien.
Dustin Byfuglien, Dave Bolin,
Oh,
Andrew
yeah.
Ladd.
Andrew Ladd. They traded away a lot of guys, man.
You have to cast off guys when you're good. That's
Scott
just the way
Darling.
it is. Scott Darling.
People forget that one.
That's true. And their general manager, Dale Talon.
Yep. I mean, Cam Barker
There you go.
traded away just before cap hell.
Those are all players that. And who was the guy that went to Carolina?
Teravainen. Teuvo Teravainen.
Yeah. And there was another guy, too.
Because,
who had
and
muscular
he lives near
sclerosis.
me, actually.
There was a guy who had MS.
Yes.
When then that was tragic.
Bickle.
Brian
Brian
Bickle. So you look
I was writing my book one day, and he walked into the same coffee shop. I went, what?
Chicago is a great example of a team that knew which players to shed when they had to. LA is the worst example of knowing LA and Detroit, terrible examples of teams that sign guys. Like, remember Dwight King got like that 5-year contract for $1.5 million each?
Yeah.
Ridiculous. There are teams that are in cap hell that it's a good thing that they're there. It means they're good. And then there are teams that are in cap hell and they're bad. So, we know Vegas is in cap hell. Is that a good thing? Is it good cap hell to be Vegas?
They can get out of it.
Right.
Again, they have the picks. They have the young guys coming up. And I think there's some LTIR shenaniganery to be out there
Dave
still.
Clarkson.
Yeah. It's interesting. We sort of knew this day would come with Vegas because I don't care what anyone says. They didn't know they were this good.
No. No, they couldn't have.
So they're in a really weird spot where they're like, yeah, give us all your cap jokes. Like, we don't care. Give us all your cap dumps. And then they found themselves in a situation where they were also buying. So I think if they just cool their jets a little bit.
And they also seem to rush to sign guys. Seem like, all right, let's get this guy locked up and this guy locked up. Like Marchessault and Stone and Pacioretty. And just, hey, as soon as we get somebody.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Stone made sense.
But like as soon as they get somebody, they want Nate Schmidt. It's just, hey, let's get this guy and lock him up. I don't know why it was
I
a
like
rush.
Nate,
Shea
I
Theodore.
like Nate Schmidt.
I think when you have guys locked up, though, you know who your core players are. And everyone else is gone. Mm-hmm. Right? So if you look at all their long-term deals, those are the guys that are staying. All the guys who aren't, that's who leaves. You can find anyone to take one year of a guy. And who's Colin Miller? 1 year of a guy?
Yeah.
Easy.
2 years. 2 years.
2 years.
But still, it's 3.8. That's
3.8 for a guy your coach
is,
doesn't use, though.
Colin Miller's 3 years.
Oh, is he 3 years? Okay, I got my
he
years
doesn't
mixed up.
expire until 2022.
Still, you can do that relatively low priced.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
And also,
your
I
coach
don't-
doesn't use him.
I also don't think he's a bad hockey player. Mm-hmm. I think that they just it's like Mike Babcock with Josh Leivo. He's just not good. Gerard Gallant's not going to use him. Sorry, but he's not.
Gerard Gallant Gerard Gallant is a hell of a coach for
Yes,
what he's done with
100%.
Vegas. He was wrong about Thomas Tatar.
Yes.
He was, or at very least, it wasn't a great fit. Which, I mean, listen, the guy had over 20 goals this year. If you can't find a way to make that work, it might be the coach and not the player.
Yep. Gerard Gallant strikes me as a bit of a Mike Babcock. Stubborn on players. Stubborn on
He
certain
strikes
players.
me as an NHL head coach
Yeah.
who's like a free thinker.
True.
Like, it's just no one.
Good point. There's
Like,
no
wait
Kyle
till-
Dubas of NHL hockey
In
coaches.
a few years, if Sheldon Keefe becomes the head coach of the Leafs, everyone's going to be so disappointed because they're going to be like, oh, he's
Just like every other coach.
just like every other coach. Like, oh, he does this differently, he does that differently. But at the end of the day, he's still like a hockey guy, man.
Did they win last night?
They did not. They got stomped. They lost 5-1. So for everyone looking for a little Marlies update, here it is. They won Game 1 against Charlotte, and it was amazing. Game 2, they were up 3-0, and it was amazing. Then Charlotte scored 5 straight goals,
Oh, God.
I think it was, and won. And then yesterday, Kaskisuo got pulled. Hutchinson went in. It didn't matter because the Marlies only scored 1 goal. So Charlotte is currently leading the Marlies 2-1 in that series. You shouldn't go blowing 3-0 leads in hockey games, but also Charlotte is easily the favorite in that series. Like, it's a miracle the Marlies got as far as they did, let alone undefeated.
It's funny that we're talking about Vegas and blowing 3-goal leads.
Wow!
It's kind of ironic.
Oh,
Kind of funny. It's kind of funny.
Wow.
Next team in cap hell. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? The Pittsburgh Penguins, $3.9 million projected.
What? I don't think they know what they're doing.
Jim
I don't think
Rutherford
they
said
know what they want.
there could be big changes. Every possibility is on the table right now.
I want to throw something out there.
Okay.
Who's the worst contract on that team?
Worst contract on the. Let me look it up.
Okay.
Because I gotta have a look at the. I'm not like you. I'm not Rain Man with this stuff.
The
so
second you see it, though-
you're brilliant with this, and I'm just terrible
The
at
second you see it, you're going to be like, maybe I should have been Rain Man on this one.
it.
Everyone's screaming it right now. Everyone's screaming it at their car.
Well,
at
I mean,
their phone.
Jack Johnson.
Yes.
And it's funny because you could say, like, there are other contracts that are hurting them.
Yeah. Goodbranson's not a good one.
Yep. But yeah, without question, Jack Johnson. But isn't that when it started? Ole Mata's not great, even though Ole Mata's quite young.
Do you think they're paying Crosby too much?
No.
I think 8.7 is like a little much for Sidney
How
Crosby.
unbelievable
I would
a
pay.
discount
I would.
is 8.7 for him, eh?
I would pay Mitch Marner that though.
Oh, yeah.
I would too.
Jack Johnson's deal signaled, to me at least, a change in what was going on in Pittsburgh. They get ousted in the first round last year, and they make this boneheaded signing, who is Sidney Crosby's buddy, and they sign him for 5 years.
Yeah.
And the reason they signed him for 5 years is because there were other teams in on him willing to pay him more, and Pittsburgh's like, fine, we'll give you the 5th year, so you can get that. And listen, all the power to him, because Jack Johnson got ripped off by his parents, and there's a whole backstory there, and I want him to... Listen, the guy made the NHL. He deserves to walk away a millionaire. Good for him. That's great. However, that is... there by no metric other than looking at his hockey DB page and where he was drafted. Honestly, like
Jack Johnson leads the league, and I don't know, I like him.
Yes.
There's no defense of it.
Has a and I hate to put it... It's unfair to him to do this. But has there been a less skilled player with a better reputation?
It's not even...
Or less... not best...
not
less
great
skilled.
hockey player. Like, he's not a great NHL player. He's
right.
not.
He's not. And that's why I ask, with a better reputation. Has there been somebody with a better reputation?
Not that I can think of, man. Not that I can think of. I've told the story 1,000 times, but he was like the first thing on analytics I ever read was, hey, Jack Johnson's not that good. And that was over 10 years ago.
Really?
I think.
And what was the reasoning behind that?
Well, the other team has the puck basically the entire time he's on the ice.
Funnily enough, still true.
Still true. Like a decade later, and no one's learned. So anyway, they got to trade that deal. Mm-hmm. I know they just signed it. They got to trade it.
They're not going to.
Well,
he had 13 points in 82 games this year.
If they were going to, how do you do it?
Edmonton.
How are ways,
Sorry, what?
How are ways you can get rid of a player? Because there's an interesting factor. There's a bunch of teams in cap hell, but there are also a bunch of teams with an abnormal amount of cap space this year.
I call Ottawa and say, you need an NHL player. You need a player who plays in the NHL.
They need bodies
Patrick
to
Waugh
put on the ice.
wants to coach Jack Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
For sure.
So,
like, here's the thing. Jack
it's a great
Johnson,
fit when you think about it.
It's crazy that they gave him that contract, because he was coming off a reduced ice time, 77 game, 3-goal, 8-assist year. And they gave him $15+ million over 5 years. That's insanity.
Adam, what do you do when you want to trade away a bad player or a bad contract?
You pump and dump?
You sweeten the pot.
Oh, you sweeten the pot. Oh.
There are two ways you can do that.
Okay.
Draft picks and prospects, which the Penguins...
So Phil Kessel and Jack Johnson to Ottawa. No way. No way. How does that help them?
I didn't say to Ottawa. I just said sometimes someone's got to be tied to the Rocket. Phil might be that guy, and Johnson might be that Rocket. Listen,
Ottawa could not. It couldn't be Ottawa because they can't afford them. They can't afford both those guys.
I agree. So who knows? Who knows? All I'm saying is I think Pittsburgh is a really out in the open yet under the radar candidate for silly season.
How about this? This is interesting.
Silliest of silly seasons.
If, let's say, in some wild stroke that Bobrovsky and Panarin are not a package deal, and Bobrovsky ends up in Florida like we all think he will, but Panarin goes, nah, I'm going to go to New York, which you can see. Right?
Could happen.
Or I'm going to go to California, because I think San Jose is going to have the cap room to sign him.
Interesting.
Because they missed out on Tavares last year. If Karlsson walks, you've got the money. And they missed out on Kovalchuk too last year. So, not a hard sell for a guy like Panarin. Great team already, great lifestyle, and all the sunshine you want.
Totally.
Is Florida a potential spot where you get a guy like Jack Johnson, who Dale Talon would just die over, and Phil Kessel? There's your scoring winger. There's your defenseman. Your steadying veteran defenseman. Plus Bobrovsky.
The best coach in the league against the league's most uncoachable player. It's a matchup. I don't care who the Panthers play, I am watching for Joel Quenneville versus Phil Kessel. Which I know he's not uncoachable. I just want to see it. I think it'd be fun. I feel like the plan there is still Panarin Bobrovsky. Unless you get someone like Phil Kessel in return and you're actually able to afford that, unless the pot is sweetened immeasurably, you're trading Jack Johnson to a team that doesn't get it. You're not trading him to a team who
You think the
gets it.
Sens get it?
No.
I think Senators are a great organization for Jack Johnson because in all, you know how you were talking about Ryan Dzingel last show and you're saying like sometimes he is speedy, he is a skilled guy, but he's probably a third line guy max.
He spent a lot of money this year.
Yeah, somebody's got to play, somebody's got to score the points. Yep. In Ottawa, you could argue that a guy like Jack Johnson is going to justify his points because there is. There's a point a couple of years ago he had 23 points, and then he had 40 points, 33 points. Like there was times when he did score.
Offense.
Sure,
he's left-handed American Rasmus Ristolainen.
So maybe
two defensemen who can
who's playing
rack up the points.
Who plays defense for Ottawa anymore?
Oh my God! Remember we played a game where I literally made someone up and you had to guess who?
Yeah, and I still didn't get it. It's amazing.
I couldn't. Oh my God! If I had to name their top six,
name their top six.
Dylan DeMello, Thomas Chabot, Eric Brandstrom, but he doesn't really count.
Their PR guy.
Yeah, Eric
their
Brandstrom.
PR guy. Okay.
No. Who on their team is their PR guy?
Is Max Lajoie a defenseman?
Nope.
He's not?
No.
Is it Christian Wolanin?
I don't think he's there anymore.
Oh, who's the guy who the Leafs turnstiled him like 8 times a game? I loved playing against. The big guy. He's huge.
Maxime Lajoie is in non-roster defense.
Yeah, he could be.
He's
there.
on the team, but you can count him if you want.
Is it like Yaros or something? Or
Christian Yaros.
Is that who I'm thinking of?
Probably.
No, he's the huge guy. What's his name?
Borviecki?
There you go.
Oh yeah, Borowiecki.
You
whatever
gave
the
away
fuck his name is.
Borviecki.
Sorry.
So, who all the way...
Who's the huge guy? Is it Yaros?
Who are you thinking of?
I don't know, man.
According
I don't
to Cap Friendly, the 5 defensemen on Ottawa right now are Cody Ceci, Ben Harper, Christian Yaros,
Ben Harper's the guy.
Thomas Chabot, Dylan DeMello, Mark Borowiecki, and then you have on their non-roster defense Brandstrom, Lajoie, Justin Falk, Wolanin.
Justin Falk. That Justin Falk, though. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Different
Different Justin
I
Falk.
was like,
yeah.
what? Okay.
Not that Justin. Anyways.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
like I look at Ottawa, which by the way has a total for next year of $4.5 million wrapped up in their defense. They have one Morgan Riley salary for their entire 5 defensemen with a contract. Cody Ceci is an RFA. I think he'll be traded. And wouldn't that be a great fit for Pittsburgh? You trade Jack Johnson and you get a Cody Ceci back.
If you're Jack Johnson, I think it might actually be advantageous to get traded to Canada.
This is what, yeah.
Exchange rate.
Oh, 100%. And also, just look at the fact that, like, he will get the ice time that he... Like, the team... Like, Ottawa can justify that because he's a guy that's going to score 25, 30 points for them.
And they also need to hit the floor of the cap.
That's also true.
They just need money.
Well, thankfully...
Buddy, they're a candidate. I'm just saying. They're a candidate.
That Bobby Ryan deal is still there. 3 more seasons.
Sure is. Wouldn't he look good on the Pittsburgh Penguins?
No, I don't think they're going to trade Bobby Ryan.
Bobby Ryan for Phil Kessel.
They don't have the money. Oh,
Straight
man. Come
up.
on. Why would they
One
trade?
for one.
Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Okay, next team in cap hell. The Tampa Bay Lightning with $8.6 million. Now, you'd say,
Which is
8.6
exactly
is a lot.
what Braden Point is going to sign for.
Ryan Callahan has $5.8 million left in his deal. I would be calling Ottawa and saying, can we offload a good veteran guy like Ryan Callahan for 1 season at $5.8 million and we will sweeten the pot? And I think that makes sense. I mean, that looks good to me.
Maybe retain.
They have guys like JT Miller, Tyler Johnson. I was surprised they re-signed JT Miller, especially at $5.25 million. He was the secondary piece in the Rangers trade. I mean, he's been good for them, but I thought you would have hung on to Ryan McDonough and been like, sorry, JT Miller, like we only have so much cap space. They were able to keep him this year. I feel like they're going to have to move him. So you got JT Miller, Tyler Johnson, Alex Killorn, all at around $5 million.
I think JT Miller is the guy they thought would get them over the hump in the playoffs as the big guy.
Right.
Sort of big body, net front presence. Oops.
Is he a fit for a team like the Leafs that is maybe perhaps small?
Could be. The name I keep going back to is Chris Kreider. Would look so good.
Yeah, but he'd be expensive to pick up, man.
He'd be extremely expensive. And also, the Rangers, I don't think they're going to suck for very long.
No, I think they might be good next year.
Yeah, or at least in it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like they may grab a wild card.
Something like that, or at least be in the conversation past Valentine's Day, you know what I mean?
Right.
I said it from the day they made that announcement. They're doing it right. Mm-hmm. And the proof is in the pudding, and they get rewarded with a little bit of luck.
The Leafs are the next team on the list at $8.8 million, but we won't get into that because we've gotten into it millions of times. Here's a team.
Can you just throw in that the Tampa Bay Lightning will be paying Vincent LeCavalier until 2027?
How much?
Oh,
But
he was a compliance buyout.
there's a $0 cap hit.
Oh my
But he
God.
remains on their salary, and he's going to make $1.761905 from. He's been making that since 2013 until 2027.
Wasn't he the only player to get bought out twice? Didn't he get bought out again in Philly?
I think
Because he
you're
signed
right.
that outrageous deal in Philly and then wasn't good and then ended up in Chicago and he was making like 3 different salaries at once. Isn't that the...
Can you look up his cap friendly? That's a very interesting one.
There you go.
That guy's got an income. All right, what do we got here? Jesse showed it to me right here. So, buyout history.
Oh, no, he's L.A. Was he Blackhawk? Yeah, he was a Blackhawk, right? Right? Was he?
A Blackhawk? No, he was a Flyer.
King.
And
He's
then
a Flyer and a King.
he got traded to the Kings.
Okay. By the Flyers?
I can't remember. Oh my god.
Or something? Yeah, he was almost... No, it was Brad Richards that was the... Yeah, of course. Brad Richards was with Chicago.
Jesse, you might have already said this, but he got bought
Yes.
out June 27, 2013. And did you say the buyout was 14 years long?
Yeah, 2027.
How did they do that?
Ooh.
It's just, but it's no cap hit for the majority of it.
But how did they make it 12 years? That's crazy.
Because it's the length of the contract, and then you double it, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Buyouts,
Okay.
and then you expand it over the double years.
Oh my.
Vincent LeCavalier, former center of the Milan Lucic LA Kings line, which is a thing that happened once.
Which was
Big
a
and
very
heavy.
good line at the time.
I'm sure it was, actually. I'm sure it was
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
good.
You know what? LeCavalier had 10 goals and 17 points in 42 games with the Kings, which is all they really expected out of him. Mm-hmm. Not so bad. Ugh. Sorry, who are we even talking about right now?
We're moving on to the Leafs.
I'm annoyed by how easily Tampa is going to squirm out of their issues.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Now, let's move on. We know the Leafs are in cap hell. I think it's a good thing. I think the fact that Tampa's in cap hell, I think the Leafs are in cap hell, I think that's a good thing. I don't think this next team is going to like it.
I think the Leafs can afford it.
Well, they can afford it, and it's also they have the talent on the roster.
That's
Like,
what I
it's-
meant.
Yeah.
Well, they have the talent on the roster and in the minors.
Sure. Anaheim Ducks, $9.1 million. Now, the Ducks don't have to pay probably
Ryan Kessler.
Ryan Kessler. So that probably balloons to about $15 million, which isn't so bad, but they are going to have to figure out, like, what if Ryan Kessler's the kind of crazy man who will come back from a certain... We went through that a couple episodes ago and how insane that is. He's the type of crazy dude who's like, no, I'm going to come back. And they've got to be ready for that if they don't move that contract. So I don't know that you can go out and sign any big long-term deals. And they've got some great young players, Sam Steele, Maxime Comtois, Max Jones, Troy Terry. But
Really good minor league team.
what do you really do in Anaheim?
Well,
Because you got the goaltending part down.
they've already traded away a young player in Brandon Montour as well.
For nothing. How did the Leafs not get that? Come on.
No, I don't know about nothing. They got a first. Wasn't it a first, a second, and a prospect out of Buffalo
Oof.
for him? Yeah, no, I kind of think they got a pretty decent return for him.
Given what he was supposed to be, it's
Yeah, but he
shocking
wasn't.
to me.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's
like,
maybe not a top. Is he a top 4 guy? Not a top
He
2?
may end up being that, but like he's just sort of fine.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
I wonder. There's a few teams armed to the teeth with picks, and I want to know what they're going to do with them because I don't think the answer is they're just going to pick a bunch of guys.
I wonder if there isn't a fit with, and we've talked about the Leafs have been in on every single Anaheim defenseman since the beginning of time.
Ever.
But Josh Manson makes $4.1 million for the next 3 years till he's 30. And I wonder if, like a guy like Andreas Janssen, who is 24,
Yeah. Yeah,
So it's
24 or
pretty,
25.
pretty fair to say that whatever Andreas Johnson is, he is what he is.
Johnson was drafted 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I think and we don't realize that, but it just took him forever to get here.
Yeah. So a guy like that, while he will be very good, and he, if he plays a full season in a bigger role, I think that guy could be a 45, 50 point, maybe even 60 point guy at some point.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to get too much better than he already is, but he's good.
So
He's already good.
that's there are contracts that are going to have to go with the Leafs. I wonder if you can find a trading partner with a guy like him, or we've mentioned Kapanen before. Not that I want to trade Kapanen, but it's one of those things where it's like, what do you do? What do you do? And you said it last episode pretty well, I think. It's that Kapanen, what makes Kapanen special is more special than what makes Janssen special.
Yeah. And that's sort of the
That's
Kadri
speed.
conversation. He also provides something that the Leafs don't have in abundance. He's an asshole. Janssen could be.
And is from time to time?
He's just, but that's not good enough.
Right.
That's not good enough. He's just, we need someone who brings it every single shift, and Kapanen could be that. I'm interested to see what Kapanen develops into. And I hope it says the Leafs, because there's something there. There's a special player waiting to come
Gus
out.
Katsaros, I think, said it perfectly. He dead zones the puck too much. He just keeps going and then goes, okay, now it's dead.
No, but if he wanted to be uber Zach Hyman, I think he could be.
Sure. He could be the better version of Zach Hyman. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think they're hoping for that.
That's where I kind of think a line that I think might actually be a line for the Leafs next year is Kapanen on the left, Matthews, Nylander.
Oh, I love that.
And they try for one shift and they score, or no, two shifts.
You're doing this wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
Matthews and Nylander aren't allowed to play together.
No, Nylander needs to center a line with Brown and Marlowe.
That's not how that works.
And if not, Gauthier. Gauthier and Nylander. See, if Nylander can't make Gauthier score, does he deserve to play with Matthews?
Exactly.
My column.
Interesting factor. Ugh, God, my compliment.
Okay, let me know when you want to do the Leafs thing from last night.
Oh, okay.
Did you remember it this morning? I
Yeah,
brought it
I
up?
think so. Yeah, no. I'm gonna make. Wait, am I bringing this up or are you bringing it up?
I'll bring it up.
You bring it up. You bring it up. You bring
Just
it up.
let me know when you're ready.
It's good. Thank you for reminding
Well,
me.
here I'll just wrap it up with Hyman is not going to be able to start next season, so it'll be an interesting opportunity for Kapanen should they choose to keep him. What on earth are you talking
One
about?
more team before the Leafs thing.
Yeah.
Washington Capitals, $10.1 million in cap space. There are unrestricted free agents like Brett Connolly, Carl Hagelin, Devontae Smith-Pelly, I think
He's
that's
cheap.
Yeah, Brooks Orpik, obviously done. They've got some decisions to make, but they don't seem like it doesn't seem that scary, right?
No, but every team sort of has that guy who's been getting traded forever, and for them it's Andre Burakovsky. So maybe this is the time.
And lastly, and we'll get into them in just a second because we have to do this Leafs thing first. With $10.8 million left, this is a definite bad. The Edmonton Oilers.
Now, 10.8 sounds like a lot of room.
Except that, they have a bunch of people that they need to re-sign. And they don't have a lot of players. Well, let me pull it up. Do you want me to pull it up?
Yeah.
So, $10.8 million sounds like a lot of money. And you're happy that the Edmonton Oilers have finally figured out. First off, they let go of their guy for PR yesterday after 16 years. Did you hear that?
No, I did not. I've been, whenever I see news break, I ignore it.
Oh, okay.
Because I never know what you want me to ignore.
So Dwayne Sutter was let go yesterday.
I saw.
He was the VP of personnel, and he'd been there since 2011. So,
Wow.
and people are like, well, it was a lot of Peter Chiarelli's fault. Well, he was there a lot earlier than Peter Chiarelli was.
The Oilers' problem started before Peter Chiarelli.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Scott Howson apparently is going to keep his job. He had a hour presentation about why he should, and it looks like him and Holland, who got along when they were Detroit and Columbus's GMs, are now in cahoots and figuring out a way to work together.
I don't know if you want to keep a GM that you had really good terms with, because Columbus was bad.
Yeah,
when Scott Howson was there, man.
Well, that's what I would say too. But again, what do I know? And I'm just looking for J.J. Herbert, 16-year director of communications, is also gone.
Wow.
So there's a lot of changes up top. I mean, you knew there was going to be a few changes. You wonder if, again, changes don't necessarily mean good. In Edmonton's case, I think it is a good thing. I don't know if this is wholesale enough. McTavish is gone, Dwayne Sutter is gone, communications guy is gone. I don't think they're done.
Now,
And Scott Howson is staying?
who announced that the communications guy was going? Did the team do that?
NHL by Matty.
Oh, he
I believe
did.
so. I think so. No. In related news, no, that was not him. Sorry, my apologies. I wrongly attributed it to him, although he did say it.
Because, like, when PR guys go, like, who ever knows?
I know. Interesting.
Unless it comes from, like, the Twitter of that actual person. Like, how do you
Don't know.
ever know?
Don't know.
Who knows? That's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
It's very strange.
Well, they need to fix their perception in the community.
Well, there's that, too.
And after 16 years,
Well, so you need someone you need like a crisis manager, someone who's just going to literally shut people up.
yep, absolutely. So those changes have happened. The Edmonton Oilers, cap friendly, I'm just pulling it up right now, $10.8 million, which sounds like enough to fix a team, should be enough. That's really only a couple contracts. And when you consider that, you've got Tobias Reeder, Jujhar Khaira, Jesse Puljujarvi, and Ty Ratty are all RFAs. I don't think any of those guys will be re-signed. I would be surprised if Puljujarvi would be re-signed. I think they're going to try to move him. But then you've got Sekera, the ghost of Sekera, for 2 more years. Clefbaum, Larson, Chris Russell for 2 more years. All those guys are longer term. Brandon Manning's got another year. Darnell Nurse has got another year. Matt Benning's got another year.
Manning, oh boy.
Joel Person has another year. And then you don't have a backup goalie. So you probably need an upgrade on defense anyway, despite the fact that you've got $26 million already committed to your defense next year, and you need wingers, and you've got $40 million wrapped up in the guys that you have in your forward crew. So you've got McDavid, Draisaitl, Lucic, and Nugent Hopkins. Sam Gagner's got another year left on that deal. Mm-hmm. And that's the surprising Jim Benning deal, where I believe he signed for $3.15 million after one good season with Columbus. And then he was traded, and then
he was a Marley earlier this year.
Yeah, Kyle Brodziak, remember, got more than 1 year last year. Yeah. He's got $1.1 million next year. And if you wanted to keep a guy like Alex Chason, which I don't think they do,
I don't think they can.
He's a winger, yeah, and he scored 20 plus goals this year. Somebody's going to overpay him.
Someone's going to give him at least 2. You know what I mean? And like, you can't even afford that.
It's not that it's not fixable, but if the cap is $83 million. Maybe it's a little more. Maybe it's 85, and your hit already is 72.
We're forgetting one little way that they could free up a little bit of room, because I remember the Leafs were. Remember when they were? Or no, it was Matthews' first year, and the problem with Matthews' first year is they were going really cheap. But there were cap overages because of all the performance bonuses.
Right.
But they were going really cheap because they took on all these boat anchor contracts from other teams in order to get more draft picks. And so we said, well, goodness, what are they going to do with Colin Greening? And what are they going to do with Brooks Lake? And the answer was to the minors with the both of you. Even though, like, it looked like the Leafs could have used Brooks Lake.
Yep.
Like, at least to start that year.
Even the year before, year after with Eric Fair. Could have used him.
Eric Fair was the other one. And to the minors with the 3 of you. With the 3 of you. Bye. So there's a way, like, Brandon Manning, like, that guy's not going to be on the Oilers.
No, I'm surprised. I'm still surprised that that's the name that the Leafs had linked with Connor Brown. I have a hard time believing that. When the trade apparently
was Ben Hutton.
Ben Hutton.
It was Ben Hutton.
It was? I keep hearing Brandon Manning. Ben Hutton from who?
I can't remember. Wasn't
Connor
Ben
Brown
Hutton?
to Edmonton for Ben Hutton?
That's what I thought.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Makes a lot more sense than Brandon Manning, doesn't it?
Sure does. What's
go.
the story with Ben Hutton?
I don't know. I don't know. It's what was discussed.
Really?
And it didn't end up happening. Yeah.
Interesting. Is he a prospect?
No, I want to say he was a former Canuck.
Yeah, but I don't even see him on the list here. So which means I don't think he's on.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'd heard Brandon Manning, and I was like, why would the Leafs want Brandon Manning? Are they nuts? Although Mike Babcock would have dressed him every game. Would have had to because of the injuries. But even if he hadn't.
4th line center. Take him out instead of Goat.
Edmonton has the money to go out if they can. Here's what Edmonton needs to do. I just don't know that they're equipped to. They seem to have made the right decision, as in they can't. What I said before they hired Ken Holland was they can't make enough correct decisions in a row to necessitate a good team. If Ken Holland can,
Yeah.
But again, I'm still weary, and I think all Detroit Red Wings fans would remind you that Ken Holland made some awful signings.
Sure.
And awful trades. And everybody who does, if you've been a GM for 30 years or whatever. I look at Edmonton and go, what they need is a staff that can find you 3 Tyler Ennises.
Yeah,
And I just don't know that they have that. They need 3 guys that are like, wow, we think he's better than what they projected him as, or he's coming off a buyout, or he's coming off injury. I wouldn't trust Edmonton's medical staff based on their recent history, and I wouldn't trust their advanced stats staff.
Here's what you're forgetting. So they're still letting guys go, and there's probably going to be a few more of those. You got to bring guys in.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Holland's going to do that. And again, I don't think he's going to be making a ton of final decisions when it comes to hockey. I don't really understand what Bob Nicholson's role is in all this because I look at...
What do you do all day?
Well, yeah, I don't understand because I look at Ken Holland as the president.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's going to... I think the ideal situation is he's basically president and brings in people to run the hockey side, make all the hockey decisions, and he can have final say and sign off on all that and whatever. And Bob Nicholson sells burgers.
I mean, that's Bob Nicholson should be there for the business, right?
Yeah.
He's the business guy. So, yeah, I imagine. Apparently, he's got full autonomy, Ken Holland, so he can do whatever he wants.
Got to be careful. Don't run the Oilers like it's Hockey Canada. There's no cap hit there.
Jesse, what's the Leafs thing you want to bring up?
Oh,
because I have no idea what you guys are bringing.
I have no idea either.
well.
Actually,
I was too busy watching Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Final between the Toronto Raptors and Milwaukee Bucks.
Well, so was this Twitter account. Funny you should bring that up.
Oh.
This Twitter account was also watching Game 4 of the Bucks and Raptors, where the Raptors won. And there were many people in attendance that day.
Mm-hmm.
Very many.
Last night.
At the game? Outside?
Outside, yeah. Drake. Terrell Owens.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Terrell Owens is a big get for Toronto. I was like, oh, my son.
Yeah, I was like, what is he doing here? That's kind of cool. The entire TNT crew, because they're broadcasting the game, so they're all Chuck, Kenny.
Chuck doesn't want this to end.
No, he loves Toronto.
Charles Barkley loves Toronto.
Everybody's taking pictures of Shaq because he's so big and he's just Shaq.
Yeah.
Ernie's there, too. You can't do it without Ernie Johnson.
Can't. Is he bow tie?
He is bow tie.
He's bow tie. Sorry, I'm getting used to all of it. I watch him all the time now.
This one Twitter account,
Kenny's the other guy. All right.
they wanted to point out something about 2 other people who were in the stands.
Okay.
Mitch Marner and Nazem Kadri.
I saw that they were there. They were also... Kadri, I know for a fact, was at Game 3.
Yes.
It just... I guess it wasn't publicized or whatever.
Yeah. Well, Kadri was there and Marner were there, and they weren't sitting next to each other.
Oh,
So, what does that mean, Jesse? What would you say that means?
It means Kadri's gone.
I think it means they have separate asses, and they can sit wherever Really? This is what we're doing.
It also means they're not friends.
It also means they're not friends.
Yeah, because Marner, who hasn't signed, who doesn't have a contract, an agreement with the Leafs right now, has some insight into Kadri, and he's like, I'm going to distance myself from you, Naz, because I'm a part of the trade negotiations to send you out of here.
Also, at a previous playoff game, the plot thickens, Jesse, because not only is Kadri gone, but PK Subban is coming to the Leafs.
Because he's here watching the Raptors.
He's here watching the Raptors and sitting with Mitch Marner.
Oh.
And they did their favorite activity as best friends.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what that was?
What's that?
Posing with Red Bull cans for the camera. It's their favorite thing. To pose with brands that pay them for the camera.
It's not that the brand gave them the tickets.
Also, coming to the Leafs next year, Lindsey Vonn. She's going to teach them all how to ski. And is she right-handed? I hope so.
You know what else is going to be there? Timbaland. Timbaland is also
Timbaland was at the game.
But he's not friends with Nazem Kadri or Mitch Marner.
No.
He was not sitting with either of them.
New arena DJ.
One particular Twitter account that I saw tweet something along the lines of Mitch Marner and Nazem Kadri are each other. Where do you think their location tag is?
Where is
their Twitter account that has their location in the bio?
Oh my God!
Where do you think it is?
Not Nazem Kadri seats.
Toronto?
Adam, what's your guess?
My guess is that one of them has like Sonnet Insurance or something, because they're sending everybody to the game. And one of them has Red Bull.
Intact. How dare you?
Sorry.
How dare
Intact Insurance.
So we're talking about the profile of the person who tweeted
the
it.
Intact Insurance chairs.
That's what you think they put at the profile?
Yes.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like, isn't there some sort of
That's
brand
funny.
association?
The
No?
That's
Intact
very
Insurance
funny.
shares brought to you by Red Bull.
Yes. Yeah.
This person who decided to call out Marner and Kadri for not sitting next to each other, their location tag says Alberta, Canada.
Oh, I thought you meant where Martin. I misunderstood the question.
No. That's what I was trying to
I
explain.
misunderstood. My
Yes.
apologies. That's my apologies.
Shut up.
Can I ask? Can we tell if that person is an adult?
Yes. There. I don't want. This is a regular ass person.
I know,
Like,
but
I don't
are
want
they-
to call
but are
them
they an
out.
adult? Are they an adult?
They are a person. They're an adult with probably a wife and kids. It looks like, basing off the Twitter
Okay.
account.
Now, are they just trolling?
I hope so.
That's why I asked. If they're
I
an adult.
hope so.
I think
That
they're
is
just
what
trolling.
I'm rooting
They're probably
for.
just trying to get Leaf fans going, which
Sure.
they would. Leaf fans are that paranoid. I listen. If that's what they're trying to do, I 100% respect it because that's hilarious.
Also, weren't they sitting courtside?
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is, man, like last night was as popular a basketball game as this city has ever seen. Like
In the history of the entire city in basketball ever.
country.
Country,
Like, I don't know if
yes.
Marner and Kadri could have sat next to each other if they tried.
No.
Like there were that many.
No, but this means
Mr. Owens, we got to move you.
both aren't playing for the Leafs next year.
Both.
Yeah.
Wow, you know how they could have shown that by not sitting together and also not attending the game because they're not in Toronto anymore.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So maybe everyone not at the game isn't going to be a Leaf. Whole new roster, except for Marner and Kadri. And Subban.
True.
And Timbaland.
And Timbaland.
Right wing.
Wasn't there a Milwaukee rapper there too? I forget what his
No,
name was.
Gucci Man was
Oh,
there.
Gucci Mane. Well,
and he was
Gucci
wearing
Mane.
a Giannis jersey.
Oh, boo.
Like he's not. Is he from Wisconsin?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Well, it's not hard to be a Giannis fan unless
Man.
he's playing the Raptors. He's pretty amazing.
He also did that a day after canceling his first ever tour through Canada.
Oh.
So it was like, what are you doing here? You already screwed over a bunch of fans, and then next day you go into the city and you wear a Giannis jersey.
Cool.
Yeah.
Not a good
Very
move.
lame.
Yeah, not a
Very
good
lame.
move.
Thanks, Gucci Mane.
Yeah.
You know,
He tweeted it.
It was
100%.
It's his burner account.
can I read you something I just retweeted because I think you guys would love this.
Alberta,
Sure.
good cover.
It was about A-Rod sitting on the toilet.
It is not about A-Rod sitting on the toilet, although I have seen the picture now. It's not that bad. It's just
No.
like, it's literally, and here's the interesting thing. I read a blog from a lawyer on it who talks about social media on this particular blog. And the guy's like,
on the toilet?
unfortunately, A-Rod has no right to privacy. There is no law on the books that says that coming from the window that you have any right to privacy. Because you can't enforce that law. So they never make that a law with security cameras and everything else. So he has no right to privacy if he doesn't bring down his blinds.
Yeah, but if A-Rod finds out who the person is,
Listen, it might not be a tackle to the court. It might just be some other way.
yeah,
Yeah.
there are plenty of ways. An extraordinarily rich man can make your life miserable if they want to.
I want to read you a tweet. Now, you saw the Raptors game last night.
Sure did.
You saw Drake and the way he reacted, waving bye to Giannis and giving Nick Nurse a massage.
Almost a quick massage, yeah.
Yep. You know,
and
he needed it.
And now have you seen all the backlash?
Well,
the
here's-
Drake backlash?
Here's what I'm going to read.
So stupid.
Georgios Dimitriopoulos. So you can imagine,
Bless
if you know anything about Giannis Antetokounmpo,
Yep.
that there might be a relationship there. Imagine a gig and an athlete on VIP seats right next to the band stands up on stage just to show off during the entire game, knowing cameras are on him, occasionally even massaging the singer. Security and him both allow it. Never seen anything as disrespectful as this before. And that is Giannis Antetokounmpo's agent.
I love it.
You know what? And here's the thing I got to say to him.
That's
I said
awesome.
it on Twitter. I'll say it to you. It sucks when fans react and it isn't your team winning. It sucked every single time we went into Boston and watched their fans cheer. We were there, and it sucked. Guess what? Welcome to being a fan,
Oh, well.
Georgios.
My favorite interaction here in this whole situation is Greg Brady's reply to Adam Wilde.
What did he say?
When he says, if you leaned over the glass and rubbed Babcock's shoulders, I'd start at 4:30, not 5:30, to put you on blast.
Greg.
Don't touch people from behind when they're working.
I'm going to respond to Greg.
And that's it!
And that's that! You just got that's thatted.
You know what the arena staff would say? I took you! That's that! Out of the arena!
Adam, how long are your arms?
Not long enough to reach my
Nah,
Babcock's
they're long
shoulders.
enough.
You know, if I could massage Mike Babcock into playing Austin Matthews more, I would.
Hey, you know, if you could. Now, can I play devil's advocate?
Oh, no.
Oh, are you taking Greg's side? Woo!
I don't think I said that. I just want to play devil's advocate.
All right.
I have something for you after this.
No.
You might be in trouble if you do this.
What do people call Drake in this scenario? They keep calling him a fan?
Mm-hmm.
He's an employee.
That guy
Yeah.
is a Raptors employee, the global ambassador.
Mm-hmm.
So this Raptors employee, literally, is sitting courtside, massaging the coach, and getting into screaming matches with players on the Bucks from the sideline. Do the Bucks have a beef with that? Because I'm thinking maybe, yeah, kind of, I get it.
No. If you're an assistant coach on the bench, you can yell at players.
Yeah, of course.
He's
They
not
do.
that.
He's a employee.
He is an employee.
Can Masai
Granted
Ujiri come down from his box? Because he always watches from, like, a dark corner. He's weird. He always watches from, like, the tunnel.
As he should.
Could he come down and stand center court and just start screaming at Brooke Lopez? You look like PS2 graphics! And just, like, do that all game. And then massage Nick Nurse because he needs it. And talk to Kawhi's uncle. And hold up a he stay sign from center court. I don't think he could do that.
Definitely couldn't. No.
I mean, maybe. He's Masai Ujiri.
He's Masai Ujiri. It's the perfect distraction.
It's great.
It's great.
This is amazing.
It's helping my team win, so I like it.
Yeah.
So what?
Boston fans, I totally get it
How do
now.
you think?
But-
How do you think it helps your team win?
How do I
I'm asking.
because, dude,
Explain to people who wouldn't get it.
Giannis is like, okay, I don't know much about his free throw percentage from during the regular season.
It's fair to say he's good at pretty much everything.
Yeah, and he's bricking like half a dozen times a game.
It's the perfect I'm not mad distraction for this basketball game. Because they're not going to be like, oh, get Drake off the court. But there's enough rumblings around the media in Milwaukee, some of the American media, and then the players, and Canadian media as well, being like, oh, is Drake this distraction? What is he doing there? Get off the court, do all this stuff. And it's like, we're not mad. You know, it's just this thing, you know, but they're mad.
Hold on.
I'm not mad.
You know what
This
it
is just ridiculous.
This is just ridiculous.
I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. I wish they had more class.
Right. And these are professional athletes. Any little thing you're doing is helping. Because it's impossible to rattle these guys. They're top of the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Although-
They're
if
maniacs.
to getting in their heads just even a tiny bit, being like, okay, there's a guy on the sideline there who's yelling and doing all this garbage that you don't like, that you're okay with, but you're not really okay with, it helps. I don't mind it at all.
Also, if you're the Bucks, and like, okay, so you must hate Drake right now. Like if you're on the Bucks, you must hate him. If you're Giannis especially. I listened to a Spotify playlist on the way here. And if I wanted to just never hear Drake ever, which I'm sure they don't.
It's
You know
hard.
how many songs I would have had to skip?
It's
That guy's
tough.
in everything. He's the Samuel L. Jackson of rap. He's in everything.
I'm waiting for the tweet that says, Milwaukee has sent a memo to the league asking the Raptors to tell Drake to calm down.
man.
And then we got under their skin, but they wouldn't do it yet.
If the
'Cause
Raptors-
then we know.
If they win Game 5,
Yeah.
100%.
I want to see that memo because then we got them.
And also just the ridiculous precedent of that memo.
He's been fined before for tampering, right?
Yeah.
Because he chanted, he had Kevin Durant here, and they tried to get Durant in 2016,
Yeah,
right?
you can't do that.
He was like, come to Toronto, start a chant.
Did you see Magic Johnson?
What did he say?
I can't remember what channel he was on, but he was able to straight up say all the names now because he doesn't work for
Yeah,
the Lakers.
he was on First Take with Stephen A. and Max Kellerman.
And he just goes, Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant.
Yeah, they tried to get them all.
So Steve, where do you fall on the Drake whole thing?
It helps my team win. Good.
Do you know where Mrs. Dangle falls?
I don't know where this came from. She hates Drake.
Why?
I don't know.
I don't know if she's going to be upset, but I'm going to quote her as saying,
Oh, boy.
if I was Nick Nurse, I'd turn around and tell him to sit the fuck down already.
That sounds like Mrs. Dangle. That sounds like her.
Well, that's her Twitter, Adam, and I can tell you that sounds like a tame version of Mrs. Tangle.
So she is you, but with the Raptors.
I don't know what Drake ever did there. I don't know what Drake
We
ever
need
did
an
there.
RFR.
No, but like any Raptors fan, I feel like making Raptors fan reaction videos. Oh, we the norm. He had such a good game, and Fred VanVleet, the bench was great, and Kawhi playing through it. Fuck Drake! Like, no Raptors fan has a negative thing to say about that right now.
Yeah.
Like, I just have a really hard time. I think they're all closer to Faisal, who's like, Drake's my hero.
Yeah.
For doing that. Like,
So what's up with Mrs. Dangle?
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe she has a Spotify playlist that she keeps having to fast forward. Like, I don't know. I don't know what her problem is with Drake right now. I don't know. It's tearing the house apart.
Adam, do we have an update on your war with Greg Brady?
I'm writing back, but what if I could massage Mike Babcock into playing Austin Matthews for 22 minutes per night? And we'll see what
I'm
he
very
says back.
curious to see what
Greg's
he says.
awesome, by the way. He's a really good guy. So he's not being mean. He's just being like, Greg's a debater.
He's a debater.
He is when he takes a side, that's his side.
Is it that simple?
What? What?
Is it that simple that he's
I know what you're
just
trying to
really
get me to say, and I'm not going to say that. I am that. Are you saying a master debater? Is that what you're asking me to say?
No, that's not what I was trying to.
I thought you were trying to.
I was just like, I don't know. Like, would you say you understand Greg Brady and it's just really simple, And like you could just put a bow on it, right?
I don't understand what you're talking about.
I just really want to scream. That's that. Adam. Come on. This is the worst.
Hey, we do have to talk about this. Amanda Kessel, along with other players, have come out with this, and we've got to be quick about this, unfortunately, because we are running out of time. Believe it or not, ESPN is kicking us out. Not a sentence I ever thought I would say, but thanks, Raptors, you're good. So now the ESPN peeps need a studio to broadcast in, so it'll be this one. Articles of incorporation were filed on Friday establishing the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association. We hinted at this with Haley Salvian, and I kind of thought that this had to be where this was going because I couldn't figure out where it would be anywhere else.
Yeah.
The association will serve as a vehicle dedicated to promoting and supporting the creation of a single viable women's professional league in North America. 200 of the world's top female athletes have chosen to sit out. And there's some comments in there from Kessel, from Nora Ratu, from Shannon Zabada. And that's, it's going to be the law firm Ballard Spur LLP are doing this for free. This is all pro bono. What I'm curious about is if they want to create a league, okay? A one single league. And one single league already exists. What I still don't know, and this isn't a criticism, it's just a piece that's missing. I don't know what the NWHL needs to do to be that. Does it need to rename itself? Does it need to change the way it does business? Like, that's the question. And it seemed like with Haley, too, like, I don't think the one thing that I would say, and take your time with this, they need to be clearer about this. What is it exactly that you want? They talk about a sustainable level in this press
Well, that's
release.
what I think it's all about, man.
Well, but
Money where players aren't making $2,000 for a season.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
But if you, the one league that is operating and still signing players, by the way.
Yeah, that's all they can do. So that's why they're sitting out for the year.
So
They just can't. The NWHL cannot satisfy a living wage
that's true.
for most of their players, which
Right.
I think is what they're saying. What is interesting, though, is so you said something in there, and that's where I thought it was going. I thought they were going to create their own league. By forming a players' union, the impression I have is that is what they have in place to protect themselves when they join
A league. I agree. I think that's what it's going to be.
So that's what's confusing to me. And why I think that there's just the NHL is going to create a league. Like that's where this is going. It has to be because there was that joke of a. Did you see that Twitter?
No,
account?
tell me about this one. I know you mentioned it a little bit before the show.
So someone created the WWIHL. Don't even remember what it stands for. Not even going to bother because apparently it's just I don't know. It's some dude and. Like literally, like my first question, and I was wrong, but my first question, honest to God, when I saw that Twitter account, was, is this the guy who created the CHLPA? Remember that? The guy was like, we're making a players union for junior hockey, and he was a very strange man.
Yeah.
Remember that? That's who I thought it was. It sounds like, yeah, we're starting operations next year, and it's not a thing.
No, it's not.
At the moment, it sounds like it's not a thing. So the NHL keeps getting brought up. It sounds like the players have made this players union, which they need to protect themselves in order to join a league. Well, they're not joining the NWHL.
Like if they've got the association already, is it that they know the NHL announcement is coming? Is it that they're waiting for the NWHL to fail?
I think
it
they're
both?
talking. No, I think they're talking. I think they're directly talking.
Okay.
To the NHL, and we're just not hearing about it.
I'm surprised that we wouldn't have heard about that by now.
Or
I think something would have leaked if they were talking about it.
Or maybe it's as obvious to them as it is to us. And also, it's just a good idea.
Well, I don't disagree on that.
Yeah.
But if...
So I'm extrapolating from their good idea.
For a second, though.
Yeah.
Imagine that they're not. Because that is just as possible. Based on what we know, it's 50-50. They could be talking to the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
The NHL has said, though, as long as the NWHL exists, it's not going to do anything. Because the NHL knows it could stamp out the NWHL tomorrow, right?
I think nature's going to run its course here.
I 100% agree.
And Bettman said he doesn't want to be the guy that I would point at and be like, hey, you destroyed all these women hockey leagues.
If there was ever a time to do it, now would be the time. But you're right. Yeah, like this is the time where, and the reason he wouldn't want to do that is it's terrible PR.
Exactly.
However, in this particular case, it's not. It's not.
He doesn't want to. It's weird when you're like, I'm battling the women's league
or
that was created by.
You could quote unquote buy the franchises, as in you buy the licensing and you pay them whatever it is to go away, and it wouldn't be much.
And that way, maybe that's what they're holding.
Maybe that's what they're. But you're telling me that none of this would have leaked by now? Come on.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Well, I think it has though. Like I think it has in that we all know it's obvious.
That's not a leak, Steve. That's extrapolation.
I guess
that's
you're right.
going. That's the logical where it should go. But we know with hockey, it never goes that way.
Yeah.
So I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I hope they're talking to the NHL. I hope the NHL steps up and does the right thing. But my question is, if they're not, what then?
I think we've already said it, man. It's gonna be the NHL, and they're just waiting the NWHL out.
Okay.
That's it.
Because it seems to me...
It's a cruel business.
Well,
right?
what's more cruel, stamping them out now or attrition over the course of a year?
Well,
letting the NWHL continue operations and folding in December, mid-season, when they can't reach the revenue goals, like that to me is more cruel.
Yeah, if all of this is inevitable, why are we waiting?
I think they're leaving it up to the NWHL. They're trying to... Like, ever since this was announced, I thought it was obvious, well, the NWHL is going to fail. And I think the players are trying to make it as painfully obvious as possible. Listen, here's what we're doing. Get your stuff in order because you're going down.
And what if the NWHL doesn't go down? What's the obvious?
Yeah, what if they can tread water?
And that's what I think the players are setting up. That's their problem. Right?
Now, I think the NWHL will not make it to Christmas if this continues. I just can't. I know they're signing players. If you have no star, like they have some stars, I guess some people have not agreed to be in this, but not anything big.
None of the big ones.
So
not enough.
What are you selling? What are you selling? How do you make that sales pitch to an advertiser?
It'll still be a fun product. And you know what could come out of it is those are the only players anyone's watching.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever the best players are in the league, that's whoever goes to the games, that's their new son or daughter's new hero. Look at them. They scored 5 goals this game because the goalies.
Yeah, I mean, it could
whatever.
It could bring in some new stars, which is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just,
But then those new stars are not included in the Players Association.
Man, I just find it really hard to believe if they were talking to the NHL that somebody wouldn't have heard about it.
It's a long summer.
Yeah, even by now, though. Even by now.
Yeah, but it never quite goes down that way, does it? It's a long summer.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to leave it at that because we don't have time for a press conference today. We got to get going.
Yeah, we're getting kicked out for Charles Barkley.
But we'll see you next week.
No, that's TNT.
Charles Barkley.
We'll see you.
Skip Bayless.
We will see you next
Zach
week
Lowe.
when
Zach
an
Lowe.
actual hockey game will have been played. Imagine
One.
that. One.
Exactly.
Maybe.
one.
Not unless if we do it on Monday, then no.
So
Well, then we
Tuesday.
can't.
So it'll be Tuesday.
Yeah,
All
but-
right. All right. Well, we're not going to do a Stanley Cup preview show. Everybody's doing those. What are we going to
just
tell you?
did it.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be after Monday. We'll just put it that way.
Maybe.
Good guys. It'll definitely be after Monday. But anyway, we love you.
No,
We'll talk to you
maybe.
soon.
Maybe.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.